Welcome to the Profitpreneur Power Play Podcast, your daily dose of strategies, insights, and action steps to grow your business and build your freedom. It's time to stop playing small and start making power plays.
All righty. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Profitpreneur Power Play Podcast. We are so excited to have you here today. We love to be able to give you a nice little espresso shot of mindset, motivation, and all things positivity to help you continue to grow your business. So today, we are bringing back the amazing Bree Lewis. She goes by Bree. So now, here's what's really cool about Bree. She is a mindset and manifestation coach. She is a self-growth and personal development enthusiast, and she's the creator of several faceless YouTube channels with a total of over 63,000 subscribers. One of her channels hit 20,000 subs in its first year, and now that channel is soaring past 45K. And so she's here to tell you all about procrastination and how tomorrow can be quite a dangerous word to use in entrepreneurship. So we definitely want to make sure that it doesn't cost you to put things off to tomorrow and procrastinate. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Bree out right now. Bree, are you here?
Hi.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, she is my daughter, too. I don't know if I said that.
I think us looking alike might have given that away.
So,
I said, I think us looking alike might have given that away.
You got a point. All right.
Yeah.
If you ready to rock and roll, I'm going to hand the mic over to you. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
All right. Like usual, gonna have some notes if you see me looking. So today we're gonna be talking about procrastination, which is everybody's unintentional best friend, right? It's always, oh yeah, I'll get to that later. I'll do that tomorrow. You know, I'll do it next week. I got time. Do you? Do you have time? All right. Now, one thing that I noticed with procrastination is that a lot of the time people say, oh, just do it. You know, just get up, which to me personally, it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, but no, like in theory, I follow what people are saying when they say that, but it's not always necessarily, that easy. It's not always, just get up and do it, right? Because we got to get to the root. We got to get to the source. That's one thing about me. I'm sure you guys may know, may not know. I like to get to the root of the problem and pull it out. Right. I don't like to just take a plant and, just cut what I can see above the grass. No. It's going to grow right back. We need to get to the root. Okay. So procrastination, it happens. It's natural. It happens to everybody. Even those that are, super successful, that seem like they get everything done all the time. Guess what? They procrastinate too. And it might not necessarily be something on a major scale. It could be something trivial, like they postpone going for their morning run. Right. You never know what it is. But procrastination is natural. And that was another thing that I think unintentionally made me procrastinate was, I see people that seem like, they get all this stuff done. For example, my mom, she gets a ton of stuff done. I'm like, how are you doing that? Like, are you like Superwoman or something? Like, you don't ever like take a break or breathe. But I didn't realize my mom also has her downtime. She has her moments where she's like, I might do that a little bit later. Right now, with procrastination, there's tons of different things, tons of different reasons why a person might do it, right? It could be mental blockages. It could be literal physical distractions around them, which is predominantly what we're going to be talking about today. And, there are palpable things. They're tangible, realistic. Talked about that last week. Realistic things that we can do and start implementing. All right. So there was a book that I had read, I think, earlier this year that was called How to Break Up with Your Phone. And it appealed to me because, I'm going to keep it real with y'all, my screen time on my phone for the week was like 12 hours. I said, girl, what? I realized that I was spending literally half my day on my phone. And when I saw that, it kind of mentally clicked for me. I was like, oh, maybe this is why I'm not getting nothing done, right? I finally put two and two together. And it dawned on me how much muscle memory I had for my distractions throughout my day, right? So for example, in the book, she had mentioned trying a little activity. She was like, a lot of people don't realize, and this is not me talking about phones specifically, you're going to apply this to whatever your distraction may be, okay? But I realized, I was going to bed with my phone in the sense of I'd fall asleep scrolling through the joint and dropping my phone on my face, right? Or I'd fall asleep with my phone on my pillow, like it also needed to get tucked in. Or I would fall asleep. Some people, they fall asleep with their phone on the, what do you call it? End table. And she was like, okay, try this. Try when you get up in the morning, well, the night before you go to bed, put your phone across the room, plug it in, charge it, whatever, on the other side of the room. So where we're at right now, this is the other side of my room. This is the other side. And I thought, is that really going to make that much of a difference? But what I did not realize is that book was having me disrupt a pattern, right? A lot of us that procrastinate, we have these patterns around us, right? We have this environmental comfortability that we've set up that we don't realize we fall into every time. And the thing is, our brains are used to that. Our brains like easy going, easy flowing, right? It has strong pattern recognition. So your brain isn't going to be like, oh, you have work to do. Well, might as well stop doing what you're doing now and go get it done. No, your brain is like, well, this is what we normally do. We chill. This is what you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. This is a part of the pattern. Why are you tripping, right? But anyway, so I didn't think that was going to be or have that big of an effect on me. So I tried it. What I did not realize was when I went to sleep, I would stir in my sleep. And not only would I stir in my sleep, but I would partially wake up and check my phone. And the only way I knew that was because, like I said, I had muscle memory. I turned as if I was feeling for my phone. I was like, oh, wait, it's not there. It's on the other side of the room. Y'all, it was like 2 a.m. I was not about to get up to go walk across the room to get my phone. So you know what I did? I went back to sleep. That was the only thing I had to do, was go back to sleep. So I did. Then when I got up that morning, same thing. I turned, I went like this. I felt myself doing it. I went like this. And I was like, oh, my phone's not over here. Right. And normally what a lot of us do is we'll get up and we will check our phones. We'll check our notifications, check our emails. We'll scroll, we'll do whatever on our phone. But because I removed that option, I disrupted that pattern. Well, now my brain had a blank. It had an empty spot. And it was like, well, we can't do what we normally do. So what are we going to do now? What are we going to do instead? And I thought, well, I don't feel like walking across the room to get my phone. So what else is there to do? And mind you, this was more subconscious than I was sitting there consciously thinking it. But I was like, well, might as well get up and start my day, right? Now, normally, I would have scrolled on my phone for 1, 2, 3 hours. And then I would have gotten up. But I wouldn't, more than likely, I would have been tired. I wouldn't have felt like doing all the stuff I needed to do, right? Excuse me. But with me, like I said, with me breaking that pattern, my brain was like, well, time to do something else, right? And this is just a side note. You see this sort of mindset with things like, for example, people that go to the gym. Working out in the gym versus working out at home are two totally different things. When you're in your home, you can cut on the little 10-minute YouTube workout, do your little 3 crunches and be like, yep, well, I'm done. When you go to the gym, there's more at stake, right? All you can do at the gym is get on equipment, step up on that treadmill, get up on that bike, start cycling, start lifting them weights, right? Because that's all that there is around you. And on top of that, it's all you see other people doing as well. So you're like, well, if they're doing it, I might as well, right? If there's nothing else to do here, I might as well. You guys notice that there's no seats, no couches, no beds, hardly any chairs in a gym. It's almost like a forced, it's almost like a forced, I can't think of the word, but it's a forced environment. You have to do it. That's all that there is to do, right? Library. Ain't nothing to do in a library other than sit down and read them books. There's nothing else to do. But when you're in your home, you are surrounded, especially if you're someone that works from home, you are surrounded by all of your comfort things. You are surrounded by all of your leisurely things. So it makes it significantly difficult. And I do think to a certain degree, it requires a little bit more discipline to be like, okay, well, even though I'm at home, I do still have to work, right? And for people that do go to work, like let's say, you work in IT or tech or something like that, you probably go to a physical building and, you get dressed, right? You put on a certain outfit. There's a formula to how you prepare to go into that forced environment, right? So it's the same thing here. One thing I had started doing, my family said I was crazy for it, but they didn't understand my vision. They didn't see the vision, okay? I started getting up at like 3 or 4 a.m. I created a new pattern, a new routine for making a forced environment for myself. So I was like, okay, well, if you get up that early, guess what? There's nothing else to do. All you can do is quietly work, right? Maybe make some breakfast real quick, get some coffee for the morning, but no one else is awake at that time. So there are no notifications for me to check and look at. Ain't no emails, child. Ain't nothing else for me to be doing other than working. But I had to realize, wait a minute, I actually do have things that are encouraging me to procrastinate. So how can I remove them, right? Anyways, sorry guys, didn't mean to yap on that. Took a little bit long on that point. But another thing that I did was I have 2 computers. So the desk I'm sitting at right now, this is my leisurely desk. All right. This is the gaming corner. Okay. Just so you guys can understand, I got my PSP right here. I got my 3DS over here. What else over here is game oriented? I got my little Game of Thrones figures. I got MP3 players over here. Nothing about this environment says, let's get to work and lock in. Nothing about this environment. And what ended up happening was I started trying to do a lot of my work over here and I wouldn't get it done because I would get distracted with YouTube. I would be like, wait, my Sims game is right there. All I got to do is double click and then I could just play some Sims real quick, right? Or I would do some work and then I would go, well, I worked for like an hour already though. You know what I'm saying? Let me get on that Sims real quick. That was what I was doing. I had these distractions just right in front of me. Now, get this, I have 2 desks. 2 desks in this room. My room might as well be a studio apartment with how big it is. But my other desk has nothing but books, stationery, pens, notebooks, and my MacBook. Now my MacBook, it does not have the horsepower to play no games, especially not Sims 4, right? That is a computer that I labeled in my head my work computer. I got 2 programs on it. Safari and the programs I need for work. My spreadsheet stuff, Google Docs, my coding programs, all of that is on there. So I was like, okay, when I do my work, let me try forcing myself to use the computer that is designated just for work. There are no games. It's not even an option because it's not on there. I started getting 3 to 4 hours of work done versus trying to get stuff done on this computer, my gaming computer, and I would only do about an hour. That sounds crazy saying it out loud, like having the self-awareness. I'm like, no, yeah, I was kind of playing. I don't know what I was thinking, right? Now, less extreme example, let's say for some of you, if you don't have 2 computers, right? Another thing I did on this computer was I made a second user. Now, if you make another user on your computer, a lot of the time, a lot of the programs that's on your main one aren't going to be there, right? You're going to have, your browser or whatever else, anything else you need, you'd have to install it. And that was also something else that helped me realize sometimes you can get work done. You can kind of hack procrastination by creating an absence of those distractions, literally blocking those distractions off. Because here's another thing. Like I said, your brains are wired for comfortability and sticking to things that it knows, right? One thing that I had to stop doing throughout the day or like in the middle of the day, I'd lounge out on my bed. I stopped doing that. You know why? Because I started falling asleep. I started accidentally falling asleep. But it's because subconsciously my brain, my mind had connected bed to sleeping. Anytime she's in her bed, all she does is sleep. She doesn't watch TV from her bed. She doesn't normally do anything else from her bed other than sleep. So every time I would get in my bed, even if I had slept 10 hours the night before, I would pass out. Y'all. Unacceptable, right? My brain had just connected the dots for me. What was I about to say? I forgot what I was about to say. I was too busy thinking about my bed and falling asleep in it. But anyway, so yes, one way to kind of tap into procrastination is being more self-aware, right? Being more aware of your surroundings and what thoughts, feelings, and things you connect to those surroundings, right? A lot of the time, one thing that makes me feel motivated is having a certain alarm, right? I have A lot of people will set a timer on their phones. I stopped doing that because you know what would happen? I pick up my phone, check my timer, but oh, wait a minute. Let me just, so said what? Oh, no, let me respond to this real quick. Just real quick. Real quick, turn into 2 hours of me scrolling on TikTok. All right, 2 hours of me scrolling on TikTok. So I ended up getting myself a study timer. I don't have it over here with me, but it's all it does. It has a little button on the top. I click it. It tells me what the time is. I can set timers on it. That's it. That device cannot do anything other than tell me the time, right? But that made me feel, for some reason, more motivated. It was a device that I had specifically to serve one purpose that would, in a way, force me to go into a certain work mode, right? When I would set a 1 hour timer specifically on that timer, I'd be like, all right, time to go, get to work. And then I would speed through all of everything that I needed to get done versus when I set it on my phone, mentally, in my head, I think, well, my phone's a leisurely device. It's not really for work, for real. It's just something I use when I'm just trying to relax. So every time I would pick it up, my brain would do exactly that. I would prioritize relaxing over using it for work purposes because I had never prioritized it or looked at it like that before. So I had to, in a way, mentally assign my phone a different label, a different position, however you want to word that. So yeah, and a side note point I will make is, one thing that my mom has said, and actually I think a few people have said to me, is that your space around you is representative of your internal feelings, your internal thoughts. So for me, a lot of the time, my room gets pretty messy and it's unorganized. And then I think about it, I'm like, oh, it's because I'm unorganized, right? And then typically when I get my room cleaned up, it allows me to also get organized, right? I have more space around me, right? I've crafted an environment where if it's clean and pristine, there's nothing else to get done other than, guess what? The things I need to. It's easier for me to focus and get those things done as opposed to postponing. If I'm in an environment that's unclean or that I haven't tidied up, right? And I'm like, oh, I'll get to it later. Guess what? I've crafted and created a space of later. I'm in my later space right now without even realizing it, right? So people always say, first step to solving a problem is realizing that you have a problem. So take some time today to see what things around you are the first step of your problem. What things around you are instigators, right, in your procrastination, right? What things around you are adding to that later environment, that later mentality that you have created, right? And just a side note, I'm going to kind of wrap it up because like I said, I feel like I'm taking a while. But the first point of a major point with procrastination is, I know a lot of people, will, to trigger their motivation, they will look at and think about their future. And I'm not saying not to do that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But sometimes that is also a result of procrastination. We look so deeply at our future and we're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to do this thing. And honestly, this is tying into what I said last week. So if you didn't hear what I said last week, you might want to go listen to it. But we get so caught up in the future and we daydream about that and we fixate on it, not realizing that, we're using our present to hyperfixate on something that is in the future. When ironically, if you would sit down, stop procrastinating, and start getting to work right now, you'd be aiding that future without consciously spending all of your time thinking about it and daydreaming about it, right? And in the same instance, a lot of people will look at their past and be like, I wish I could go back to that and do that. Things were so much easier back then. Seems that way because you're in a harder place right now, but hard was also hard back then too, right? We have a tendency to sort of put on rose-colored lenses when we look back on our past, but I digress about that. I won't fixate on that. But yes, we waste our present projecting into our future sometimes, and then also feeling all this nostalgia for the past. If you were to spend your time removing distractions, right, it allows you to be present, right? Even the act of removing the distractions that are keeping you procrastinating, that is you contributing to your future because you are disrupting those patterns, like I said earlier, and you're creating new ones, right? Excuse me. So, honestly, I think that's about it. I think I just wrapped it up. I wasn't expecting to finish that quickly, but I guess that's a good thing since the point is not procrastinating. Let me see. Yep, I think that's about it.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, I remember we've had conversations where I had let you know I actually used to be the biggest procrastinator. Back when I was much, much younger, like teenage years. But yeah, I think for me, I kind of got to a point where it was just like it it was becoming a heavy burden. You know what I mean? Like it felt heavy.
Mm.
Every time I'm sitting there, like you, sitting on my bed and then fall asleep. But like sitting on my bed and thinking to myself, well, I'm not doing anything, but thinking to myself, oh, I'll just do that a little later, a little later, a little later. And then there's other things that also arise. And I'm like, I'll do that later too, do that later. And it piles up to the point that that then feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
One day I had to ask myself, okay, but I ain't doing nothing though. Why don't I just go and do it now? And when I did it, I felt such relief because I'm like, check, done. Now I'm free. I felt free because I was able to get out and now do whatever I want to, knowing that I wasn't setting aside any obligations or responsibilities. You
Mm.
know, everything was done, so I could rest easy.
Yeah.
And then it just started to become a way of life for me because I'm like, I much prefer feeling free and light as opposed to feeling heavy and burdened from all these responsibilities that I could have been got done. And
Yeah.
even with like school papers, all that stuff back in the day, whoo, child, it was crazy. So yeah, that was really, really good. And you also brought up something else about oh gosh, it was so many points. But when you brought up the fact that, we need to sometimes just eliminate. People keep saying, "Oh, I got distracted. This popped up. That happened." Eliminate it. Oh, I got so much on my plate. Take it off. Life
Yeah.
is like a buffet, right? It's like a buffet. You put something on your plate, it's a little too heavy, put it back, toss it out, whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't have to hold on to that stuff. So I really like that you mentioned that because even with well, you know this, but I don't think anybody else knew this. For the longest time, I would just have a desk in our bedroom and I would do my work there.
Hmm.
But I realized I would be like, well, my bed is right there. And I used to think it was for convenience, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is compact, it's efficient. I can get up out of bed and bam, go straight to my desk. No, child. I was like, let me watch one more YouTube video. So yeah, really good stuff. Because once we moved my stuff out and put together my office, I've been so much more productive. I'm always more productive working on my computer in my office here
Hmm.
than I am like on my laptop on the couch or something.
Yeah.
Always much more productive. So I so appreciate you for having this topic today. I know this is helping a lot of folks and they have these light bulbs going off. So we thank you for that.
Of course, you're welcome.
All right. Okay. So, everybody, if you love that, like I know you did, and we probably know that you already have liked, subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, so you can be on here every morning moving forward, and you're gonna catch them replays and all that good stuff. Listen, final message for today. Final takeaway for today. Just like Bree was saying, tomorrow sometimes can feel safer, but it is silently stealing your dreams. Inside of our Profitpreneur membership, inside of our community, you don't have to wait for someday, one day. You'll get the structure, the tools, and of course, the support to finally stop delaying and start building the business and the life that you actually want. Right? Look at us. We're in the same house, we're just in different places.
Yeah.
And we have this ability to enjoy time with each other. Time working feels good, feels freeing, liberating, right? And maybe that's been something that you've been looking to do. Maybe you're not looking to make the $1 million. You just want more peace of mind and more time around the people that you really love being around. So go ahead and start your free trial today because your breakthrough is not waiting for tomorrow, and neither should you. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. You have to